Good morning and welcome to Korea Today, live from Seoul.
Foreign investors set a fresh record in 15 years, net buying shares for 35 straight trading days on Thursday. The Kospi tested the 2050 mark before closing at 2040.61.
Dongyang Group Chairman Hyun Jae-hyun says he will do everything to minimize the investors' losses caused by his liquidity-strapped company. I'll tell you more in the headlines.
And the Korea Coast Guard wages war against illegal Chinese fishing vessels. We'll show it to you on In Print.
And coming up, I take you to a new fashion trade show that features some cool and unique local designers.
And Loki, the likable villain, Tom Hiddleston, one of Hollywood's hottest bad boy villains, lands in Korea. Also, the Busker Buzz, the band that has swept Korea's music charts. Enjoy the beautiful coastline of Busan, and with the perfect scenery comes the perfect seafood. Dive into a culinary feast with Chef Matthew Chung, who tries it all on Korea Today on Friday, October 18th, 2013.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
Good to have you with us on Korea Today on this Friday morning. Thanks for tuning in. It looks like foreign investors did some heavy shopping yesterday.
That's right. 12.1 trillion won is the net worth of stocks, Korean stocks, that foreign investors scooped up since August 23rd. Now, the top three include, well, not surprisingly, Samsung Electronics at the top, with the semiconductor giant SK Hynix, and following in third was Naver.
And some analysts are cautiously optimistic that the foreign buying spree will continue until the end of this year, but the market will open in about 2 hours, 9 a.m. Korea Standard Time, so we'll have to see if foreign investors are in the mood to do more shopping.
And making it day 36, right?
That's right. We'll begin Korea Today now with a look at the day's headlines.
So how much did the investors buy on Thursday alone? As you just heard, foreign investors continued their buying streak for a 35th consecutive session on Thursday, breaking its previous record set between January and March of 1998. Foreign investors purchased 283 billion won, or some $266 million worth of local shares on Thursday.
It seems like Korea is increasingly becoming a core beneficiary of the economic recovery in developed countries.
Experts said investors were able to turn their eyes to global economic recovery now that Washington has steered away from defaulting on its debt. The Korean market is expected to continue enjoying foreign capital inflow thanks to Seoul's firm economic fundamentals, which experts say make its markets more attractive than other emerging economies. The benchmark Kospi closed 0.29%, up at 2040.6 after climbing above the 2050 mark during session. The Seoul Central District Court has decided to place 5 affiliates of the debt-ridden Dongyang Group into court receivership. This comes after the nation's 38th largest conglomerate failed to pay its matured bonds worth some 110 billion won, or roughly $100 million last month. But individual investors who lost money after buying the company's commercial papers and bonds are not happy with the court's decision, as the CEOs of 4 of the 5 affiliates were appointed as the legal receivers. About 100 angry investors held a rally in front of the National Assembly on Thursday, where Dongyang Group Chairman Hyun Jae-hyun was brought to the witness stand for a parliamentary audit. Investors say Hyun misled them into buying the assets even when he knew about the group's default risks. Rescue operations continue in Laos, where a passenger plane crashed into the Mekong River Wednesday local time, killing all 49 people aboard. Local authorities have ruled out the possibility of finding any survivors at this point. Citing the Director General of Laos Department of Civil Aviation, the AP reports the plane appears to have crashed very hard before entering the water. 15 bodies had been pulled out of the river as of Thursday afternoon, but none were identified as the 3 Koreans that were on board. Officials are still trying to determine the exact cause of the crash, but one official was quoted as saying it could have been the heavy rain and lightning from Typhoon Nari. President Park Geun-hye held bilateral talks with visiting Philippine President Benigno Aquino. President Park once again highlighted her economic and strategic emphasis on the ASEAN region, citing the remarkable growth the Philippines has seen in recent years.
BIP라고 할 정도로, 그러니까 베트남, 인도네시아, 그다음에 필리핀이라고 할 정도로 국제사회에서 주목을 받고 있습니다.
The two leaders vowed to expand their cooperation on the defense, trade, as well as cultural fronts. In particular, President Park thanked President Aquino for deciding to purchase a dozen of Korean-built F-50 fighter jets worth some $450 million. She also called on Manila to ease regulations on foreign investment and support Korean companies operating in the Philippines.
And happy Friday, everyone. We have similar stories on the newspapers today, so let's go ahead and launch in print with a look at our first daily. We'll go ahead and take a look at 조선일보. It has market news on its front page, as you can see here. The headline reads, "New Buy Korea rakes in 12 trillion won, or roughly 11.3 billion US dollars. Following yesterday's market close, not only did foreigners' buying spree last the longest in history, over 35 days, but they also bought much more when you compare to the last standing record in 1998. And in fact, the graph above the headline shows that while in 1998, overseas investors snatched up 3.2 trillion worth of net stocks, this so-called New Buy Korea spree has foreigners snatching up 12.1 trillion won worth of net stocks between August 23rd and yesterday. The article adds that experts believe the buying spree is not over yet on the back of U.S.'s expected quantitative easing delay and Korea's strong economic fundamentals. Meanwhile, the front page image takes us to the National Assembly. It shows Dongyang Group Chairman Hyun Jae-hyun appearing at yesterday's parliamentary audit at the National Policy Committee as a witness. It's his first public appearance since news broke of the group's affiliate companies applying for court receivership. And in fact, our next daily also has a similar image on its front page. 중앙일보's front page image title reads, Dongyang Group Chairman Hyun Jae-hyun says, "On my knees, I apologize to the investors who stand to incur large losses as our commercial papers become worthless." The caption adds that the two men sitting before him with troubled faces are leaders of the country's financial regulator, Financial Services Commission Vice Chairman Chung Chan-hoo and Chairman Shin Jae-yoon there. Dongyang Chairman Hyun added that he will spend the rest of his life trying to minimize the damage to the investors who had placed their trust in the company. All right, we'll leave that story there and scoot on over to Gyeongyang Shinmun now. Its front page image shows a battle of wits on the waters off of South Cholla province. The image title reads, "Crackdown on illegal Chinese fishing vessels fortified with metal sticks and iron deck." You can see that the large boats with the iron decks are carrying Chinese flags. And the caption goes on to explain that the Korea Coast Guard are pursuing the illegal fishing boats after the 6-month closed fishing season is lifted, entering a season of hardy fishing. The Coast Guard is utilizing the help of helicopters there to capture the fishermen who try to ward off the police with sticks and stones. 동아일보 also has a similar front page image there, as you can see. So we'll go ahead and wrap things up with a look at our business newspaper for today. Korea Economic Daily's main story, as you can see over there, spotlights a 90-minute meeting that President Park Geun-hye's senior economic secretary Cho Won-dong had with some 30 business leaders. And the headline reads, "Business circles say they are concerned for government failure on back of excessive regulation," while Cho, in the sub-headline, said, "Let's not point fingers and work together." The article explains that the meeting held at Shilla Hotel Thursday morning was a private affair where business leaders poured out their grievances to the government. Some are listed here in the insert. Frozen labor management relations. That's the reason why there is no growth in jobs in the manufacturing sector, they said. Economic excessive economic democratization laws, as well as the regular wage controversy that it's unrealistic to suddenly change the wage system. Now, Senior Secretary Cho responded by saying that the government is working hard, but some of its efforts are stuck at the National Assembly. He urged the business leaders to work together and also to make more investments. With that, we'll wrap your look at what's in print on this Friday. Next up are your closing numbers from Thursday's market action.
Time now to get a check on the weather with our Lee, who joins us from Incheon.
That's right, the Central District over there. How's the weather over there, Tommy? Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, everyone. Today I'm reporting live from a golf course in Incheon, but it's not just any ordinary golf course. So if you're curious, then stay tuned later in the program. I will be giving more details. But first, the weather. Today we will be seeing another sunny and bright day. This morning we're starting off with lows at 8 degrees Celsius. But later in the day, our highs are going to leap up quite a bit, about 10 degrees or more. So, there is a significant gap between our lows and highs. So make sure to dress accordingly in order to prevent from catching a cold. Now, over the weekend, we will be seeing picture-perfect weather, but do keep in mind, for those of you that might head outdoors on Sunday, we may see some rain here in the central regions. All right, let's go ahead and check the weather around the peninsula. Seoul and Daejeon will both rise to 20, Daegu at 21, Gangneung the coolest at 19, Busan and Gwangju at 22, and Jeju at 20 degrees. That's all I have for the weather forecast. I'll be back in the latter half.
7:12 a.m. on Korea Today, and today is the second and last day of the Seoul Conference on Cyberspace. And yesterday we took a look at cyber crimes on one of our reports, and today we'll look at cyber terrorism.
That's right. Korea is no stranger to cyber attacks and cyber terrorism. In recent years, Korea has fallen victim to major cyber terrorism, and the government is beefing up security on the internet by breeding more white hat hackers. Let's get more details in this report.
Hackers join forces to launch a massive cyber attack and throws an entire city into chaos. This movie plot is not too far off from reality. With little cost, cyber attacks can create immense damage and is becoming a growing threat worldwide. Acts of cyber terror occur in many parts of the world. Oftentimes, it's difficult to know how or where it originated from. The number of cyber terror cases was at roughly 9,600 last year in Korea, increasing by the day. But the ratio of those apprehended is decreasing. This is partly because the methods that hackers use are evolving over time. Cyber terror between countries is conducted usually to destroy data, cripple the country's networks, and draw out intelligence by infiltrating its systems, rather than for financial gains. The problems associated with this are massive. There is only one way to block these hackers, and that is to train a group of so-called white hat hackers who can counter the attacks. There's a fine line between who is considered a black hat or a white hat hacker. It simply depends on how their skills are used.
Generally speaking, white hat and black hat hackers are the same. They have the same skill sets, but they have different goals, attack methods, and targets.
White hat hackers who use their skills for good act as attackers who try to infiltrate the system within the limits of keeping it up and running. This is because it's important to know how black hat hackers operate in order to counter them.
The aggressor only needs to target one thing out of 10 possibilities, but the defender needs to protect 1 to 10 of those possibilities, so it's much more difficult.
What's most important for white hat hackers is their morals and beliefs. This is Robert Morris, a professor at Massachusetts Institute of Technology and also a world-renowned white hat hacker. Richard Stallman created the Free Software Foundation and is a software freedom activist campaigning for public interest. Kevin Mitnick is the CEO of a global cybersecurity company. There is one thing that they have in common other than being white hat hackers. It's that they once used to be the aggressors, but they turned their interest to cybersecurity, using their skills for cyber defense rather than other crimes. Compared to the 45,000 in the US and North Korea's 3,000, South Korea only has 500 cyber forces. Recently, the government has announced it will foster up to 5,000 white hat hackers within the next 5 years. Cybersecurity-related companies and the government are holding various hacking competitions to pick out the best talent in the field. Many of the competitors already considered top-notch across the world.
Each country is focusing on finding people with the best skills and breeding them into white hat hackers. It's important to acquire the best security technology and create preemptive measures. White hat hackers will play an integral role in creating a safe IT community.
The Korean government is currently educating the competitors who have won prizes at hacking competitions to train them as white hat hackers.
I'm using a wireless network to detect wireless APs and disguise myself as the same AP to see what kind of websites people are accessing. So I'm testing a black hat hacker technique.
We are running a hypothetical training scenario that stimulates the 2009 massive DDoS attack so that they can try to resolve it.
For white hat hackers, having the right skills and ethics is the most important element. This institute provides various security education programs.
If you use a gun for a crime, you are a criminal. But if you use it for the right purpose, you are a police. I think it can be tempting to be a hacker. So you need a sense of pride to responsibility to stay on track.
Korea has the leading information technology infrastructure compared to any other country in the world. And there is now greater demand for talent that can counter cyber attacks in the future.
And still ahead, every villain is a hero in his own mind, so says Hollywood actor Tom Hiddleston, well known as Loki in the Thor series. We catch up with the hot villain and also look into Korea's music scene, which has been swept up by Busker. Stay tuned. There's a new fashion trade show in town that's giving local indie designers a chance to put their creativity to the test. It's called Fashion Code with a K, and our Connie Lee was there. On the first day of this event, were you able to bring out the designer in you?
A little bit, actually, Minjung. It was actually very fun to be there. It's a 3-day event. It started yesterday, and today it's for buyers and insiders only, but tomorrow on Saturday, it is open to the public. So, Young, you can go check it out because I know you're really into fashion.
I'm a fashion guy.
Well, now if you don't consider yourself, well, even if you don't consider yourself to be stylish or a fashionista, this very interactive trade show can be fun for those who like to be a little creative and unique with their style. I myself got to design my own pair of shoes at the trade show, and if you like, you could even possibly buy them.
Fashion meets art, art meets design, and design meets music. It's Fashion Code 2013. With a collection of about 150 brands, mostly independent, local ones, and a sprinkling in of foreign brands here and there, Korea's new fashion trade show puts some of the most original, unique apparel and designs on center stage.
What is this made of?
All of our products are real leather made of deer skin. They're hand designed with paint and different coloring.
It's a very hands-on event, with visitors being allowed to meet the designers in person, try on some of the latest fashion items, and even be part of different photo projects like this one by a local eyewear company.
The trade show is hosted by the Korea Creative Content Agency, and our goal was to get as many unique and original designers and brands as possible, so most of the exhibitors are indie designers or brands with character.
At one booth, visitors can even act as designers. It's a mobile app company that combines fashion, technology, and a bit of social networking.
The name of our app says it all. You are the designer lets anyone become a designer and create their own pair of shoes on their smartphones. The most interesting feature, though, is the fact that your design could be made into real shoes and be sold on our website.
If your design gets enough votes from other app users, then your concept shoe could come to life. So I gave it a try. Curved toe pumps, check. Teal leather, check. Pretty simple. If my shoe gets the votes, I could even get royalties for each purchase. Nice. Officials say most of the buyers coming to the show are from China and Japan. Good news for one local designer, Yang Hee-duk, who already has a big fan base in Shanghai.
I have high expectations for this trade show. I hope to meet new buyers who like my bohemian-style clothing.
There are also buyers from Europe who are particularly fond of Korean brands.
I've seen several here so far that I think could work really well on the European market. I must say I'm very positively surprised about the quality of the design and the fabrics. So it's very creative and commercial at the same time.
Fashion Code runs through Saturday, and in the coming years, it hopes to be Asia's #1 fashion trade show.
And again, the trade show is at the COEX Convention Center in Seoul, and tomorrow it is open to the public and it is a free event. So if you want to check out the latest fashion items or some fashion shows of up-and-coming Korean designers, then it'll be an interesting event to go to.
Right, and if you have any products that you can offer, right, you can just bring them to the fashion trade show and perhaps buy or sell them. But I mean, is there a particular reason why it's taking place now?
Actually, there is. If you know, Seoul Fashion Week is actually kicking off today. And so the organizers of Fashion Code wanted to have this big trade show in line with Seoul Fashion Week, which is one of the biggest fashion events in Korea.
It is one of the biggest events in the fashion calendar, attracting some big name celebrities from abroad as well.
Right, and so they wanted the same guests and the international buyers to come to Fashion Code as well as Seoul Fashion Week.
Yeah, all this is just zipping by me. I'm just not that
Maybe
interested in
you
fashion.
make a visit
for some
to this
reason.
trade show and learn
Maybe
a
I
thing
should
or
have
two.
an interest in that. Well, Connie, thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
All right, coming up is K Entertainment. Esna Yoon joins us. She had a chance to interview Tom Hiddleston. But first, we'll take a look at the top 5 from the Korean pop music charts.
처음엔 사랑이란 게 참 쉽게 영원할게
Oh, Busker, right? So if you're a big fan of Busker like us ladies are, you're going to enjoy today's segment on K Entertainment. Esna Yoon joins us for more on Busker, and also something else, right?
Yes, good morning. So this week I got to cover 2 stories. One is Tom Hiddleston's visit to Korea to promote his new movie Thor. I'm so sorry.
You made the ultimate mistake there.
Thor, the Dark World. Thor the Dark World, and also covering Busker and how they are getting pretty successful and famous without much promotion. So let's take a look. Tom Hiddleston set foot in Korea on Monday to promote his new film Thor the Dark World.
Hello, my name is Tom Hiddleston. I'm thrilled to be here in Korea.
Thor: The Dark World is the newest in the superhero series, following Thor and the Avengers, where the God of Thunder swept the scenes. This is not Tom Hiddleston's first visit to the country. It's his second since 2010 when he attended the Busan International Film Festival.
It feels amazing to be in Korea. It's a very, very fascinating country, and I think to me it feels like one of the most progressive, dynamic, vital and fun places in the world.
And on his second trip, he had a few words to share. And with his gentle and heartwarming smile, the Hollywood star captured the hearts of many female fans. Meanwhile, Hiddleston made number 2 on the Sexiest Men of the Year in 2010 by Britain's Glamour magazine. He was also voted Sexiest Actor this year by film magazine Total Film.
A group of people get together and decide that there are sexy people. It's always a fun. I think it's done in the spirit of fun, and simply to be on it is I feel very flattered, and it's a huge compliment.
He may play the villain, but his magic charm has made him a much-loved star. He even received the Best Villain winner 2013 at the MTV Movie Awards.
Loki's very charming, and he has an elegance about his villainy that I think is interesting. Loki is the god of mischief, and the word mischief, contains in it a kind of inherent playfulness, a willingness to tease and provoke. And there's something about the edge of mischievousness that I think is always attractive. The devil plays all the best tunes.
And during the official press conference, main clips of Thor: The Dark World were played, showing just how large the scale of the movie was. Not only that, the red carpet event with his many fans also heated up the atmosphere on site. Arguably one of Hollywood's most charming villains, Tom Hiddleston, many eyes will be on what role he takes on next. Just last month on the 25th, with the unveiling of their new album, Busker created a storm with their 5 songs, grabbing 1st to 5th place on music charts. With not many public appearances or much publicity, the indie band has managed to grab 1st place on both music shows and charts. Not only that, they also took 1st place on the Billboard K-pop Hot 100 list. Their songs Too Much Regret, Love is Timing, and Your Lips also made it into the top 10. The first batch of 50,000 albums were sold out on the day of the release.
From young students to older people, many people are buying Busker's new album, so we are seeing a boost in sales.
This is not the first time the indie band has created a sensation. Their main song in their first album, Cherry Blossom Ending, ranked 1st and 2nd spot on the first half of the last year's download and streaming charts, respectively. Not only that, the band re-entered the charts again earlier this spring with Cherry Blossom Ending, almost a year after its release, drawing much attention.
Busker is using a mysticism strategy that usually only works for legendary top singers, but it works for them. Their songs are not shocking, but the more you listen to them, the more you fall into them. And I think the reason why they're so popular is because people feel like there's an element of comfort.
Just as they managed to sweep the charts with their spring-flavored song, all eyes are on their latest to see whether they will deliver songs perfect for this fall season.
Great music, just in time for autumn, right? Perfect season for that. I know everyone wants to talk about Busker, but first let me just go back to Tom Hiddleston.
Shutting us up.
All right, we'll hold our horses, right?
Okay, so our man Loki, he had a few good things to say about Korean films as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, he mentioned that he liked watching Korean movies, and he talked about directors Hong Sang-soo, Bong Joon-ho, and Park Chan-wook, and told us that he watched Old Boy when he was first learning how to act, and ever since then he had a really good impression about Korean movies.
Okay, now can we talk about Busker?
Yes.
Yes.
Busker, take it away. Busker,
take it away.
is.
So this group is really popular now, and the fact of the matter is they didn't have to appear on entertainment shows or pull other publicity stunts to get up there, right? It's quite amazing, really.
Yeah, so unlike other idol stars or other singers, they really have not used any public appearances. Compared to those people. And actually, they're really lucky to be where they are because originally, if you're familiar with the show Superstar K, they were eliminated at Super Week. But when we got to the live show, one of the bands left, so they were in search of a band to come back, and they brought Busker back, and then they were top 2, so they got really lucky to be where they are right now.
Yeah, they stay pretty low key, I think.
Talk about faith and destiny, right? I mean, they have an upcoming concert in November, I believe. I'm really looking forward to that one. Minjung, are you?
Yeah, so much so that I'm marking my calendar now. Okay, what is it? When's it?
So they had their opening show actually in Busan at Bexco on October 3rd, following their Daegu concert on the 20th, and then they will have their Busker 2013 concert at the Olympic Park on November 1st and 2nd, but all the tickets are actually sold out already.
I may have some tickets. I may have some tickets, but anyway.
Okay, in order to get tickets these days, you really have to be fast with the clicks there.
Yes.
Esna, thank you so much for joining us, and have a good weekend.
You too.
All right, still ahead, Busker had their concert there, and Biff was one of the big events at Busan as well. And we go back to Busan for part 2, the southern port city of Busan. Jagalchi Market, the Biff Street, and Haeundae Beach are just some of the places to enjoy the fresh catch of seafood by the ocean. Chef Matthew Chung takes us on a taste tour of Busan. You're gonna love this one. Look at that. Not really breakfast food.
Another torture session coming up.
That's right. Well, we're going to go back to our Dami, who is now a golfer this morning.
That's right. So we're going to take a look at this golf course and see what different attractions it has to offer. Tommy, over to you.
Where are you?
She's gone.
Hiding somewhere.
She's hitting a golf ball.
So I'm back reporting live from Sky72 Golf Club, where the 2013 LPGA KEB Hanabank Championship is going to take place. All right, getting off my car right now. So starting today, for a total of 3 days, the tournament, a total of 78 players will be taking part in the tournament. Now, of all the golf courses right now, I am at the Ocean course from the total 4 courses that you can find here at Sky72 Golf Club. They say that this is a bit of a challenge, especially for beginners, because it is a bit larger in the total length compared to other golf courses. Now, the Ocean course was designed by Nicklaus and the Nicklaus Design, and this company was, of course, founded by golf legend Jack Nicklaus, who won all 4 major championships along with many more competitions in the PGA. Now, the course itself is known for being very challenging and also where international and Korean tournaments have been held many times. Now, in this year's LPGA tournament, all 78 players will be vying for a $1.9 million prize. So I can already feel the tension in the atmosphere. Now, it is quite a rare opportunity for major golf players to all be in one spot, and at this year's LPGA KEB Hanabank Championship, there will be defending champion Suzanne Peterson, first in the world ranking Park In-bi, Kim In-kyung, Chen Na-yeon, Yoo So-yeon, and Michelle Wee, and much more. Now, if you haven't made any plans for the weekend, then you should definitely stop on by Sky72 Golf Club and come to the LPGA tournament and enjoy the nice weather. Oh, and also while you're here, you may want to check out the Dream Golf Range, which is in the Guinness Book for world's largest practice golf range. That's all I have for now. Have a wonderful weekend. I'm Idami, Korea Today.
I just would love to be out on the field playing some golf, right? And getting some exercise at the same time. And speaking of exercise, there's a lot of health-conscious people out there these days. Some people like to take solitary activities and go out for a jog or maybe ride a bike, but there are many people who gather in group activities as well for their health.
That's right. In our last installment of our culture series, our special series ahead of Culture Day tomorrow, we're going to meet some people who live and breathe sports every day and how the Culture Ministry, the Ministry of Culture, Tourism and Sports, is coming up with different programs to help them.
Playing sports can help boost the quality of everyday life and also raise national competitiveness. It has now become essential in our lives. We meet those who have transformed their lives with everyday sports. At a bowling alley in Incheon, people are fully immersed in the fun of the game. They're all homemakers who are using whatever time they can make to get together.
We're a group of homemakers who go bowling together to stay fit and enjoy our time.
Because people in most age groups can enjoy it, bowling is an attractive sport for many. And more people by the year are engaging in everyday sports like this.
Bowling is great for my health and concentration.
I think it's made me more energetic. It makes me laugh a lot and it feels great that I can do something for myself, so I try to finish up work at home quickly and come out and spend time here with the group.
This is Kang Sun-cha, who by chance started bowling and now can't imagine life without it.
예체능에 나오셨던 분 아니세요?
네, 맞는데요.
Kang appeared on an entertainment show showing off her jaw-dropping talent. She was the ace of her team at the time, turning the tables with her expert skills during the games.
Lee Byung-jin was really good as well, but I think that day the three elements of my ball, the rail pattern, and my physical condition were all in sync. I think that's why I won.
To Kang, who can't stop playing because of the thrill she gets through bowling, the sport is more than just a hobby.
After sending my children off to school and taking care of chores around the house, what can a homemaker really do? I think that's why I fell in love with bowling. Since I'm able to blow off some steam, I take better care around the house. It's a source of energy for me because I can enjoy my own time.
All of these medals and awards are proof of the hard work that she poured into the sport.
Winning the Hammer Cup in 2009 after getting through the cutoff line in 10th place was the most memorable experience for me. That's when I thought to myself, this is why people get involved in everyday sports.
Kang Sun-cha has become more energetic since she started bowling, and her family members are happy with this change as well.
Before she started playing sports, she always said she felt tired, but now it feels like she gets more energy while bowling.
I feel like my teens to 50s just flew by. I keep thinking that staying fit is what really matters. I hope everyone stays healthy by enjoying at least one sport in their everyday lives.
With more people wanting to take part in sports activities, a growing number of facilities are being put in place.
It's great fun. It's a great way to blow off some steam and sweat it out.
The week goes by really quickly when I'm involved in sports. It's not boring at all, and I just wait for Sundays. The response to these public sports clubs with expert instructors and top-notch facilities has been great.
Coming here and just working out helps me soothe any anger that I had. I recommend it for everyone.
It's not only the body, but also the mind that becomes healthier. So for anyone who has experienced the attraction, it's hard to get out.
I've been working for more than 10 years now, but during that period, I never exercised. It's been a year and a half since I've joined the sports club, and now I feel a lot healthier, physically and mentally.
신서희니까요. 다치지 않도록 하고 일단은요. 네, 차렷 경례 반갑습니다.
The hidden strength behind sports clubs like this is the bonding between the members. This is why much potential is seen in these groups.
As I learn volleyball, I become a team member and I'm able to become the center of activity, so it helps me feel more confident at work.
With more people living to see 100, health is of the utmost importance. In order to maintain good health, it's important to exercise on a regular basis. This is why we are trying to create an environment with the right facilities and instructors so that people can always enjoy sports in their daily lives.
For the elderly, getting exercise regularly is crucial. These routines may look simple, but for elderly women, it's a great workout.
체조 연습하는 거죠.
체조 연습?
네. 그러니까 점점 더 젊어서 활기 있게 살라고 건강하게.
There's one person in this group that stands out from the rest who are in their 70s.
I'm Choi Mi-hye and I work as a special instructor for the elderly in Dongdaemun-gu, Seoul.
Che is dedicated to teaching elderly women how to exercise with customized moves in a fun atmosphere.
한 번은 맞춰주고 움직이셔야 되는데 안 맞고 그냥 음악 흘러가는 대로 가시거든요. 대열에서 잡아주시는 라인을 확인을 하시고 움직이셔야 돼요.
She also visits her students so that they can exercise regularly.
잘 가르쳐요. 신나게 아주 열정적으로 가르쳐요.
나 몇 살인지 알아? 8학년이요.
예?
8학년!
올해요. 어떻게 되세요?
34년생.
34년생이요?
네, 80.
생활체육 지금 하시는 게 안 힘드세요?
예, 재밌어요.
어떻게 재밌어요, 이게?
운동하니까 즐거워.
What they thought would be hard is now full of fun.
운동해서 좋고 기분 좋아서 해해해서 좋고.
Each individual needs to be healthy in order for families and society to stay healthy and for the entire nation to be that way. I hope we see many more instructors with good skills being bred, and I will also try my best to become a good leader.
It offers people a healthy body, mind, and soul. Everyday sports is giving people a much-needed extra boost in their lives.
All right, it's time to play ball as we kick things off with Game 2 of the playoff between the Tucson Bears and the LG Twins. After the Tucson Bears took Game 1, LG looked to even the series up as we take a look at the highlights from Thursday night. Of course, going into the game here, starting pitchers for Game 2, Lee Jae-woo for the Tucson Bears, who was 5-2 in the regular season versus Radimus Lees. Finished off the regular season at 10-13. We go over to the second inning of the game. Men on second and third. Yoon Yo-sup sends one to right field. A sac fly scores the first run of the game, and it's 1-0 LG Twins. Next batter, Park Yong-taek. This one's going to be an RBI double down the left field line, and LG takes an early 2-0 lead. Sixth inning, man on third. Lee Jin-young grounds one to second. Oh Jae-won goes home, and Park Yong-taek is tagged out at the plate. Still 2-0. Eighth inning, Park Yong-taek at second base. Kim Yong-hee singles to right. Here comes the runner at the plate, and he's nailed at the plate once again. Meanwhile, Radimus Lees absolutely lights out in this game, tossing 8 innings, giving up just 1 hit while striking out 10 as LG takes Game 2, 2-0. And shifting gears to football, where the latest FIFA rankings show Korea moving up a few spots, 2 places to be exact. With the October FIFA ranking being released, Korea goes up from 58th to 56th after losing to Brazil 2-0 last Saturday and then beating Mali 3-1 on Tuesday. Meanwhile, Japan remains the top Asian team at 44th, Iran at 49th, and Uzbekistan at 55th, just a spot above Korea. Meanwhile, the Taeguk Warriors are rumored to face off against Belgium and Germany in the month of November, both at away. And finishing things off with some Thursday night's KBL action, the Seoul SK Knights beat the Seoul Samsung Thunders 83-71. So with that said, let's take a look at the other game here. Incheon Itilan Elephants taking on the Goyang Orions. And of course, going into the game here, first quarter, both teams evenly matched as the game is tied 24-24. In the second quarter, the Orions outscore Incheon 18-14 as they take a 42-38 lead after the first half. Third quarter, the Orions continues to cruise through, but it's time for a fourth quarter comeback as Incheon drains threes left and right, including Park Sung-jin with 2 clutch threes in the fourth quarter as Incheon comes back to take this game 76-73. And that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great weekend, everyone, and see you guys again for your sports needs.
right, Matthew Chung joins us today for part 2 of Busan Eats. Good morning, Matthew.
Good morning. And yes, part 2. So last week we got to see some of the best that Busan has to offer, and this time we're going to go with the best seafood that Busan has to offer. Now, Korea, we're a peninsula, so we're surrounded by water on 3 sides. So that means that we get some of the best seafood around. And right now, this time of the year is when things start to get really good. As the water starts to get a little cold, that's when the seafood gets extra fresh. So why don't we take a look and see what's available right now. If you ask me, there's nothing better than salty ocean air to get your appetite going for some of the freshest seafood around. And that's why we come down to Busan, because it's a city by the sea. It's a major city, so there's a lot going on, but none more so than some of the best seafood in the country. So you know what? Let's go check it out, because just standing here, I'm starving. So if fresh and local seafood, if that's what you're after, then you have to come to the Jagarchi Fish Market. It really is the next best thing to just jumping in the ocean and catching it for yourself with your bare hands. They've hand roasted up pretty much an entire school of fish for me. And the 갈치, it's known as it's a hairtail, I believe it's called in English. In 고등어, it's a variety of mackerel. And these two are classics. They're ones that you'll find on every Korean table, at least at one time or another. Look at that. Probably, pan roasting or grilling. Or griddling is my favorite way to prepare fish. And 갈치 is one of the perfect fish for that. It's not too fatty, so it doesn't kind of fall apart. And it gets this really beautiful crust over it. So one of the things I love about 고등어 is just the flavor in there. It's one of the most flavorful fish, as far as I'm concerned, that we eat on a regular basis. And it's not too expensive. In fact, it's rather affordable. And when you get it fresh, the fresher you get it, there is a noticeable leap in quality. So always go fresh. So what we have cooking in front of me right now, it's a dish known as 꼼장어. Now, 장어 connotes that's a type of eel, but technically it's a hagfish. It's a slightly different beast. But you know what? Hagfish is such a mean name. Let's just stick with 꼼장어 for now. People here love it. 꼼장어, it's meatier than a lot of other fish. In fact, it kind of almost tastes and kind of has the texture of pork and shrimp. It's the oddest thing. It's definitely in a class of its own. There's nothing else that really quite tastes like it, both flavor-wise and texture-wise. So it's definitely worth experience at least once, twice if you like it. Here at Hanpan, we have 물회. Now, 물회 is interesting because it literally means water and raw fish, but it's a funny dish. It's not quite a salad and it's not quite a soup that has raw fish in a cold, spicy stock. It's one of those dishes, you taste it and your spirits immediately get this boost. I mean, it makes sense because not only is it refreshing, that raw fish, it's such a clean source of protein. It's a great fuel to keep you going. All these flavors, they work really well together. Right. Now this guy's been bubbling away for a little while now, and I really want to see what's inside. Ooh. Feels like Christmas. Nice. What's crazy is just because all these different seafoods are being steamed together, this abalone tastes a little bit like crab, a little bit like shrimp. The scallop tastes a little bit like abalone. I bet the shrimp's going to taste a little bit like scallop. All these flavors are intermingling and, you know what? I bet if you took some of this stock right here, that is liquid heaven right there. Oh man. It's right along the beach here in Haeundae. And seriously, the freshest seafood you can find anywhere. It's what's known as a 포장마차. It's an outdoor food stall, but it's unlike you find anywhere else in the world because here they specialize only in the freshest raw fish and seafood. Wow. Oh, 너무 맛있게 보여. Look at this. I mean, it really does not get any fresher than this. You know what? I'm gonna go for the shrimp first. The way you're supposed to eat it here, take this, you dip it in a little bit of sesame oil. Oh man, that's so good.
이거 한번 드셔보세요. 이거는
우와.
지금 제철에 나오는 거 앙장무라고
예.
성게보다 더 고가.
Oh my god. Wow. I'm gonna have another one right now. 너무 맛있어요. They're so creamy and they've got this really great salty bite to them. I could eat this entire plate, maybe, with like 4 or 5 more. And this is why you come down to Busan, for delicious food like this.
I need to strap a rope around my stomach to make it stop making any noises.
You see how sad we look right now?
Disappointed, right? I mean, but the 포장마차 village, 포장마차 has something nostalgic about it. I don't know. I just love 포장마차. I'm a huge 포장마차 fan.
Me too.
You know what? I agree. And here's the thing, I didn't grow up in Busan. And I've only started going to that Parama or Pojangmatcha village now for about a year or so, but there's something that still feels like home about it.
Right.
It's nostalgic without even being familiar. And that's one of the great parts of this sort of Pojangmatcha culture. And fans of Korean pop music will know that Pojangmatcha can also make you feel a bit like a gentleman as well. They're featured heavily in Psy's Gentleman music video. But I mean, back to Paramar though. I mean, like that place. I get a little worked up just thinking about it.
Tears in your eyes.
Because we go
what
to this.
happened there?
I go to the same to that one same lady every time I go down there, and each time it's always a completely new experience in terms of the freshness of the seafood that's available. Because what's on the menu is what's good, what's coming out of the ocean that day that is just pristine.
Wow. And one of the foods that you can find at 포장마차 in Seoul at least is 꼼장어. And I'll be honest with you, I've never tried 꼼장어, and something tells me I probably won't try it for the rest of my life. Maybe it's the name, the 꼼장어 and the hagfish. It convinced me.
That's
Why
true.
is it good? I mean, really.
I mean, hagfish, with a name like hagfish, it has a lot of catching up to do. I mean, it's really starting behind the ball. But the great thing about 꼼장어 is that it's a really meaty fish. And when you bite into it, it has this almost perfect snap to it, like a perfectly cooked shrimp. So I think for me, the texture is really key. And when you grill it, especially over an open flame, it takes on this really fantastic smoky quality. So it's definitely one of the richest, and it's on the more meaty side of fish.
Okay. I don't know if I'm sold, but
Well,
on the fence. Still.
How's this then? It's got a ton of protein, pound for pound as much as beef, but 200 times more vitamin A.
Okay, I'm sold. Vitamin A.
It's the vitamins, it's the nutrition that does it, right? Okay, now let's go back to 물회. You're not a fan of the 꼼장어, but I'm not a big fan of 물회 either. But this place actually looked really good, and it's very unique to Korea, isn't it?
It is. I mean, in multiple senses. In the sense that first, 물회, the 회 in there is the raw fish. And the style of raw fish we eat here in Korea is very different than what you find in most places. Now, when it comes to eating most meats and fish, they have to be aged for a little while. So Japanese-style raw fish, it's been aged for anywhere from a couple hours to a couple of days. And what this does is that it starts to break down and become a little bit more tender. Here in Korea, we eat 회 straight from the live fish, right out of the water. And what it does, it has this really great sort of toothsome chewiness to it. And It's that texture.
It's being worked up again.
I'm very serious about my seafood. I'm very serious.
Are you sold? Are you on board?
I'm sold. Busan, here I come. Matthew, you always make it look so good and sound so good. I can hear Hyungyung's stomach growling right
yes,
now.
I failed to make it a...
Okay, so it's mulhoe for you and gomjang for me for lunch today.
We'll try some of that. Matthew, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure.
All right, that brings us to our Friday edition of Korea Today.
All right, we'll see you back here on Monday morning at 7 a.m. Have a great weekend.